so excited, and thank you so much for your pre-orders. And oh, I see Dave here. I'm so excited to talk to him about his book. And if you guys don't know who Dave Asprey is, you should know him because you've probably heard of Bulletproof Coffee. And there he is. How's it going?
You know, I am not so effing tired, and you don't look so effing tired either.
I'm not, but I was, and
I was
that
too.
is what I'm working on. That's what I'm working on, spreading that message. So thank you so much for coming on. I just was reading Fast This Way because I wanted to know, I was kind of love that story of how you got into fasting. Would you mind, one, introducing yourself, and then two, talking about how did your journey on fasting start? I thought that was really fascinating.
Sure. I'm Dave Asprey. I'm founder of Bulletproof, well known for Bulletproof Coffee. I've been using intermittent fasting in the Bulletproof diet for 10 years and help people lose way more than 1 million pounds with this built in. And just wrote Fast This Way, which is a new fasting book that lines up very much with what you're talking about in all of your work, where fasting is probably the cheapest and most convenient way that you can increase your body's ability to make energy and to have more energy. Like it's one of those things where everyone can do it if you learn how to do it right, which is why I'm a fan that you're getting the message out there.
Oh, so you know what's so funny is I just did a post today on hormetic stressors, that a little stress is good for your body. And when I was looking for studies on hormetic stressors, you must have good SEO, because one of the articles from your site popped up that said like ways to stress your body, use hormetic stressors. So I know that you're a fan of that.
Oh yeah.
So hormetic stressors, guys, it's a small hormonal stress that has great benefits in the long term. So think sauna, think HIIT exercise, think intermittent fasting, think wine. All of those things in small doses intermittently can be very, very good for your health. Okay, so now share your story. We'd love to hear it.
Well, I used to weigh 300 pounds. I weigh about 200 pounds now, depending on whether I lift or not that week. And it was a time when I was also very, very tired. I had chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia and high risk of stroke and heart attack and prediabetes before I was 30, and arthritis. And I'm like, if I can get to where I am, everybody listening doesn't have to do as much heavy lifting as I did, and probably as much as you did, Amy, because you've gone through your own challenges as well. So this idea of hormetic stressors, look, that old kind of tough guy, what doesn't kill me makes me stronger. It doesn't work like that with fasting or any other hormetic stressor. If your boyfriend broke up with you last night, you didn't sleep all night long, and you decide to run a marathon that morning, maybe you don't need to fast, because it's the sum of all the stress you're dealing with. And one of the biggest concerns I have right now is that people take a concept and we go, oh, if something's good, more is better. So I'll go back to when I started blogging in 2011. I'm like, here's how to use keto for high performance. You have to cycle in and out. You have to eat the right foods. Yeah. And over the course of 10 years, now we've got like keto bros. If it's not a carb, you can eat it, right? And if you ever eat another carb, you're bad. And what happens is it breaks guys, but it breaks women first. Mm-hmm. And I also have used intermittent fasting a lot over the last 10 years, just personally and with my community. And what I see is it breaks women before men, both over fasting and over keto, but they're both really good for you.
Yeah.
Right. So the idea, we can be kind to ourselves, and an 18-hour fast isn't better than a 16-hour fast. The question is, where were you when you started fasting? Right. And how much stress is going to be good for you, and how much stress is going to be too much. So you can look at quantitative things, but you can also just say, how am I feeling today? And I wrote a whole chapter in Fast This Way for women based on the research on women. And wow, this as a guy, I didn't really know this, but apparently your biology is not the same throughout the month. Okay.
Yeah.
Of course, we all know this, but it totally matters.
You did a talk on women and intermittent fasting, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. On your Instagram, and kind of helped women through it, because somebody told me that they had watched your session and asked me what I thought of it, but I hadn't at that point read your book or knew your this new book. I do know about Bulletproof Fasting. So what's the difference between Bulletproof Fasting and what you're talking about in this new book, Fast This Way?
Got it. Well, Bulletproof Fasting was the idea that you can, during a fast, have coffee, grass-fed butter, and MCT oil. And what we've learned over the last 10 years of that is way more than we knew before. We certainly know that that works. And we know that, especially for women, doing a water-only intermittent fast, say 5 days a week, it causes more stress more quickly. But if you have this in your coffee in the morning, it doesn't cause as much stress. So you're still getting the two hallmarks of fasting, which are autophagy continues. When the body breaks down old tissues and things that it needs to get rid of, it makes for stronger cells. And your insulin doesn't go up. So I asked a bunch of experts over the last 10 years on my show, hey, my research says that we're maintaining autophagy, and I've looked very deeply in this, but what do you think? And these are people who've studied autophagy. They go, yeah, you're maintaining autophagy. So a bulletproof intermittent fast is when you have a bulletproof coffee. But there's 3 fasting hacks that are in Fast This Way that aren't out there. And we have a group of people who will say you can only have water during a fast, otherwise it breaks the fast. But then I look at all of history, and they always have tea or a few other things during a fast. Because mice had water in a cage where they didn't have espresso machines, that doesn't mean that's the best choice for humans. I believe that suffering does not bring virtue to us. And our job when we're intermittent fasting for our performance today and for our health tomorrow should be to do it with the minimum amount of hunger, distraction, pain, suffering. And in my case, my favorite word ever is hypoglycemia. When I weighed 300 pounds, if I didn't have that mid-morning snack, I was going to be a monster at work. Right. And I was actually afraid of being a jerk. And it was one of the reasons I fasted in a cave for 4 days the first time I fasted, is because who am I going to yell at? Right. I was actually really afraid of being hungry because of what it would do to my personality. I can do a 3-day fast without being a jerk. Like it's amazing, but you have to build up to it. So I want people the first time they fast to not, like, I was cold, I was hungry, I didn't like my life. We have kids running around. We have, like, we're at home with pandemic. There's a lot of stress that's not hormetic. So doing this right really mattered to me. That was why I wrote the book. So we don't go down the fasting trap of saying if some is good, more is better, then we get overstressed.
So what are some of the things that you recommend if you're willing to share? Obviously, they'll get more details in the book.
Sure. There are 3 fasting hacks that are safe and effective and make fasting really easy. The first one is a cup of black coffee. This science did not exist when I wrote the Bulletproof Diet, and it came out of UC San Diego. And what they discovered was the amount of caffeine in 2 small cups of coffee doubles ketone production. And in the old world of fasting, you had to go 2.5 days before you'd go into ketosis, and you'd feel like garbage for those first couple days. If you can get ketones turned up even a little bit, it increases a hormone called CCK, which is made by Calvin Klein. And the other is cholecystokinin for the scientists out there. And then it also drops ghrelin, which is a hunger hormone. So a tiny bump in ketones equals freedom from hunger and distraction during the morning. Or wait 2.5 days and then you feel really lit up on your fast. But since, like, okay, how do we get both in the modern world that we live in? So just black coffee is better. You can do matcha tea if you want as well, if that works better for you. But getting some caffeine in there actually is beneficial during a fast. The mice didn't do it, but it works.
Okay.
The second thing that's new is something that's made me very mad. When I went to Tibet in 2004 and I first had yak butter tea at 18,000 feet elevation, it lit up my brain in a way that made no sense. And I came back and I started hacking, and that eventually was the genesis for the idea behind Bulletproof Coffee. If you guys don't know Bulletproof Coffee, it's mold-free coffee. You brew it, you blend it with a little bit of grass-fed butter and some of the C8 MCT oil that I'm famous for making. And when you do that, it has effects. But if you just eat the butter and drink the coffee, it totally doesn't work. And that makes me very upset. But we got the science now. And this is from the University of Washington. Gerald Pollack has done amazing research on the structure of water inside our cells. And what he figured out is if you put butter oil, not milk, which has protein that messes up, but butter oil in water, it creates a very thick exclusion zone in water. You can see it on a microscope. So this isn't like magic fairy water stuff. And for us to make energy in our cells, what we do is we take water in, we heat the water with body heat when the water is near our cell membranes, and it converts the water into exclusion zone water that can be used inside the cell. Well, if you blend, I mean, we're talking even a half a teaspoon works.
Yeah.
If you blend it for a little while, you drink it, you can immediately use that water in the coffee or tea, if you want to do it that way, to start making ATP. And during a fast, that really matters. And that's why part of the reason you get that kick after you do this, So that works during a fast. It's got no protein and it's got no carbs. There's your second hack. Third hack is prebiotic fiber. This is a carb, but your body can't digest the carb. So insulin stays constant and ketones actually go up when you use it, but it feeds good bacteria. So in the middle of a fast, when you might have really not been feeling very well, this stuff turns off hunger and it reduces all-cause mortality, and we don't get enough of it anyway. So if you want to,
prebiotics are huge. Yeah. What kind of prebiotics do you sell it, or
I do make one. It's called Bulletproof Inner Fuel, but you guys don't have to buy my stuff. Like I'll be okay either way.
Curious which brand or what kind do you recommend?
Yeah. Inside Inner Fuel, there were 3 clinical study ingredients that I went with. One of them is acacia gum, which is a sap from an African tree that just feeds the good guys. It's a very common one. There's another one called larch arabinogalactin, which is a similar tree sap. The third one is hydrolyzed guar gum, which is enzymatically broken down. So you can take any one of those things, but the point is you don't want sugar and you don't want digestible carbs and you don't want bulk fiber, which is probably going to change some leptin with what it does in the gut. And man, it's ridiculous. And here's, someone says still heavy in calories, so it breaks a fat even if it's lower and causing insulin reaction. No, that is simply old thinking from mouse studies. And I've had enough people on the show. So it doesn't break the fast. What fasting means is going without. You can fast from carbs. It's called the keto diet. You can fast from alcohol. You can fast from lots of things. We're fasting from things that raise insulin. We're fasting from things that raise mTOR. And it's not heavy in calories if you use a tablespoon of MCT and you use a teaspoon of butter to get the effect I'm talking about.
I do agree with you that, what you're saying, what people are saying is like, there's different kinds of fasting. You can completely do a fast for your gut. That means nothing.
Correct.
Nothing.
You can even do a dry fast, right?
Right. And then there's, what you're talking about is like keeping the protein low, carbs and protein low. So you're still turning on those longevity pathways, keeping them going, because those longevity pathways, guys, turn off when you consume protein or sugar.
Correct.
And so it's just a different way. Like, it's like saying exercise is one thing. Your fasting can be many different things.
Yeah.
In 2021, we all agree that there are thousands of ways to exercise. Many of them are effective. Some of them are not. But that's how I think of fasting. I think of fasting as not just one thing. And you can say, oh, that's not fasting because you're thinking of fasting as a gut fast. But if you're thinking of fasting as a way to get some of the results that you're talking about, you can do a low protein fast, which I agree with. I tell people that if they're super hungry on a fast, that having a little bit of fat can help you through it. You don't want to have a ton because
you don't need a ton.
You don't want to eat a lot, but a tea or a coffee or a little bit of fat is the way to go. Okay, I know what everyone wants to hear from you, from my audience, is how do you think women should fast?
I think women should fast according to how they feel, same as men. And that when you are menstruating, it's probably not a great time to fast. You might do a 12-hour fast or something, which does have some benefits in some of the studies, but you don't need a long fast. You probably want to have a heavier protein and fat breakfast. You don't want to have a lot of carbs and sugar and things like that. That's not going to do good things for you. But just recognize that there are times when your body is ready for more hormetic stress, and there's times when you have enough onboard stress already and you don't need to do it.
Yeah.
What I have found over the last 10 years of people sharing their experience of bulletproof fasting with me is that women hit the wall first with fasting. And when a woman starts to hit the wall of over fasting, I felt so good. I just went to one meal a day. And then I felt even better. So I do, I eat every other day. And eventually you're getting towards starvation. And then the body's like, I'm in a land without enough food, without enough energy. And step one, your sleep quality goes down. You wake up in the morning, you feel like you didn't sleep. Step two, hormone irregularities, your cycle is not as regular as it should be. And then step three is hair thinning. And with guys, it takes us another 2 to 4 weeks to get to the same stage on average. And this isn't say that this is true for everyone. It's just, it's an average thing.
I agree, yeah.
And with guys, same thing. Our sleep quality goes down. It's because our cortisol is too high. Same reason as is for women. And then we wake up without a kickstand. And then our hair starts to get thin. And these are the dangers of over keto, same as the dangers of over fasting. And they're different mechanisms. They're both good for you, but don't overdo it. That's why I wanted to write a book and why I'm really happy to see that you're writing your book. I can't wait to read it.
Yeah.
Are you sending me an early copy of it?
I will be. Yes. Okay. For sure.
what I really want to get out there is for people, like, fasting like exercise. If you lift heavy every single day, you will get injured. Your cortisol goes up and stays up. And the same things happen. Your sleep goes away. Your hormones get messed up.
Yeah.
It's very predictable. So you use it like a tool, but it's got to be used with kindness. So
Yeah.
if you're wrecked today, have breakfast. Just don't have pancakes, and you'll be okay.
And I think for the typical modern population, the idea of fasting is so scary, just like you felt. And so just telling people that, hey, you can start out really slow. You can have these crutches to help you, through your first few days. You can, not have to do it every day. All of that applies. And I was like you, I was so scared, but once I started to get the hang of it, I did that. I said, oh, I can do 12, I'm going to do 14. I can do 14, I'm going to do 16. And at that time, 16-8 was really the one that you were trying to get to. So I did 16-8 every single day. Even just 16-8 was enough to cause me to be fatigued and to lose sleep and to have all kinds of cravings. So I knew that I went overboard and I stopped. And it wasn't until a few years later that I saw the research again that I tried it again, but a gentler version of it.
There's a study out of Australia from Dr. Murad, and she studied a lot of women, and she found that doing up to a 16-hour fast, I think the minimum was 12, but it was only 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, had profound benefits. So I'm like, start there. If you have a lot of weight to lose like I used to, it's totally fine to say every other day I skip breakfast, and it's okay to use any of the fasting hacks just to turn off hunger so you can stay focused. Because if you're burning all your willpower just trying to skip breakfast 3 mornings a week and you're getting cold and hangry, it's not a life, and it's not something you're going to do. And this kindness to ourselves is the most important part to understand about fasting.
So your book has been a very huge, has been a hit really. And I wanted you to spend a couple minutes, if you want, letting people know where to get it, how to, I think you have a fasting challenge. What else do you have going on?
Okay.
Tell us everything.
So you can get Fast This Way anywhere you like to buy books. And if you're going to read it, I'd love it if you picked it up today. And I have a gift for you. I will teach you the book for 2 weeks straight. You go to fastthisway.com, whether you get the book or not, and sign up. There's more than 30,000 people doing a fasting training thing where I teach you the book, and then we go through each of the different types of fasts in the book, ending in a 2-day spiritual fast. And when your book comes out, I'll share it with that community as well, because these are people who are interested. And fasting with other people who have done it and are doing it is actually really relaxing, because you're like, probably the most inspiring thing for me is seeing just hundreds of people say, I can't believe I just went 24 hours without food. I feel like I ran a marathon, but not worn out like that, but just like it was an unattainable goal. You feel like you're going to die. And all of a sudden, like, I wasn't even hungry. Like, I was okay. I was safe. And that's liberating, because that feeling of safety is a big thing. For all of us have been taught since we were kids, if you're hungry even a little bit, it's not safe. And so anytime we're a little bit hungry, it triggers our fear impulses. It's not necessary. It takes you 2 or 3 months to starve to death. Like, skipping breakfast shouldn't be a threat to any of us, but it is. And that first time you do it, it sets you free to be like, oh, I'm hungry, but I'm okay. Whereas now, if I'm hungry, I'm starving. And man, the difference in my life from having done that is really profound.
That's amazing. So people go to fastthisway.com and they can go there whether or not they have purchased the book yet.
Correct.
And then they can start a training with you, is it live trainings or?
There's 3 live Q&As. There's a daily video and a schedule. Like today, we're going to do an easy one. Tomorrow, you're going to actually just eat and pay attention to your hunger. One of the other things that I think everyone on this call will benefit from is if you're hungry, like really hungry during a fast, it's what you did before the fast that triggered it. If you have a big raw kale salad and you think that's going to fill you up and make you really hungry and keep you going for 18 hours, it's not. There's not enough calories in there, for one thing. And there's another thing. Kale has one of the classes, there's 5 classes of things that cause hunger. A lot of oxalic acid from that does trigger physiological stress, which triggers sugar cravings, and it's probably not good for you. So that's why you do it.
Thank you so much, Dave. We have a bazillion questions.
Let's answer some.
That I will, I can't even, take them. Oh, actually, you know what? Let's take one question, because somebody said coffee has pesticides, even if it's organic.
Organic coffee shouldn't have much in the way of pesticides, but it's mold toxins. When coffee is fermented, coffee makes these, or the mold that's in it makes them called ochratoxin A. most governments have legal limits in coffee. The US and Canada have no limits. So when it's illegal to sell it in China or Japan or Europe, they send it to here and then we drink it. Then we get low blood sugar, we get cranky and angry and jittery, and we think we're allergic to coffee. I quit coffee for 5 years before I figured this out and put in lab testing for the Bulletproof beans.
What about heartburn during fasting? This is a good one because I had that in the very beginning.
Some people get heartburn when they start fasting, and usually it's because they have low stomach acid. Mm-hmm. One thing you can do, surprisingly, is you can try taking something called betaine HCl, which you can take on an empty stomach, which will oftentimes cause the valve at the top of the stomach to close. Or you can take either baking soda, which is sodium bicarbonate, or you can add potassium bicarbonate, which is really powerful. You don't want to have way too much of that, but you can have a teaspoon or so of that, or a combination of the two is what I use. And then that's actually good for you. And some of the studies in my anti-aging book, just taking more baking soda every day increases animals' maximum lifespan. So it's good for you anyway. During a fast, you need some more sodium, take some baking soda, you'll be fine.
Awesome. Thank you. So there we go. We got a couple questions in, so everybody's happy. You gave us so much information today. I'm so excited to share your book with everyone. So Fast This Way, and I will definitely be giving you I'm So Effing Tired, so we can talk again about, using intermittent fasting in conjunction with circadian rhythms, gut healthy foods, mindset work to help people with burnout and fatigue. So we'll talk about that.
Can I pre-order your book now? Is it available yet?
I would love for you. I'll show you guys.
But it's up on Amazon?
It is everywhere, just like your book. Everywhere.
Wait, is it out yet? I thought it was about to be launched.
It's March 2nd.
Okay, okay.
It's pre-order. Yeah, it's
okay,
pre-order.
I will pre-order. I'm
pre-ordering.
Guys, you should do this. I'm doing it right now on Amazon. So go to Amazon.
So important. Thank you.
Order I'm So Effing Tired. Order Fast This Way. These books go really well together. And then here's what's going to happen. My book's already been like a 3-week New York Times bestseller. But then everyone will see people who buy this book also buy I'm So Effing Tired. And it's going to help Amy out. So get them both. I'm doing it literally right now.
I love it, guys. Thank you so much, Dave. Have a great day. Thanks.
Have a great day. I'm ordering now. Bye.
Bye.